Hi everyone, my name is Kimberly Schwabel and I am currently the Federal and Private Loan Coordinator and Assistant Director in the Office of Financial Aid at Rice University. I currently work with students during processing and counseling, and I'm also completely responsible for the federal and private loan processing for the university. A little about myself. I am originally from Houston. We moved here when I was about 4, but I left for college and I went to Barrett, the Honors College at Arizona State University, for my undergrad, which is where I got into financial aid and really discovered my passion for working in higher education. I am also currently engaged. I'm getting married in October, so balancing work and my other class and this internship and wedding planning on top of just various other personal issues has been probably the greatest challenge I think I have faced, but I really think that the growth and the rewards from this whole experience are really going to outweigh the current stress. So that's really what keeps me going. So because I do work full-time already, I had to work out an internship with my office since I wouldn't be able to take the time off to get enough hours in throughout the whole summer. And I am actually very happy it worked out that way because I've gotten to work on various aspects and projects and tasks within the office that I otherwise would not have had any role in or any exposure to. So because I do want to direct an office one day, all of these tasks have given me the exposure to these operations that I definitely need to know in order to be successful as a director. There were a few main objectives from my office that they wanted me to work on this summer. Mainly, first of all, is our office communications, and they meant that very broadly. So this included the email communications that are sent through our system to our students, our webpage, updating and reviewing the forms that we have available and discussing possibility of new forms to make available, communications between us and other departments, not just with students and families, recruiting, and a lot more along those lines. They also wanted me to work on updating and reviewing our policies and procedures, which is heavily regulated. It's very important for those to be accurate and for those to reflect what we truly do practice in the office. And NASFA, which is the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators, actually developed a tool for us to make sure we are fully in compliance with what is supposed to be in the policies and procedures, and they have a policies and procedures builder on their website. So I have recently started working on transferring all of our information into that builder online, which has proven to be challenging to say the least. They also wanted me to review our consumer information available to our students, which again is heavily regulated, so that has been a very important task as well. And finally, I was asked to join 2 committees for the strategy project that has been implemented by our new vice president. One is the Financial Aid Task Committee, and the other is called Enhancing Perceptions of Rice. So these are both, like I said, part of a strategy plan. It's a 5-year plan that is being implemented by the entire enrollment division under the supervision of our new vice president. So I think I have learned more about how our office operates and how we work together with other departments and the functions of the enrollment division as a whole more over this summer than in the entire 3 years that I have worked at Rice. A lot of the communications work I've done has been hailed by our executive director, and my ideas and my vision for our future communications and the website have actually landed me pretty much a permanent position working on those things. They're talking about reworking my current role with federal and private loans to lighten my workload a little bit so that I can basically serve as the communications expert in the office. I also looks like I'm going to be joining the communications and marketing committee that is very, very new for Rice. This is outside the strategy project. This is going to be an ongoing committee just for the university's communications and marketing, and it is with other people in the enrollment division. So that kind of growth and opportunity for expansion because of this experience is really rewarding for me. So my site supervisor did want me to have the chance to hone my skills in quite a few different ISAP areas, but I feel like the most rewarding and interesting area that I have grown in is values, philosophy, and history. A lot of my work on updating our communications, first of all, and reviewing our website, yes, it had to do with a lot of regulatory guidelines and making sure that we are in compliance with what we legally have to communicate to our students. But more importantly, I was trying to make sure that we were in line with our vice president's vision and our office's goals and values, which I feel like we have strayed a bit from. We do need to make sure that our website and our emails and everything are conveying a more friendly and welcoming message and not just textbook black and white regulatory information. So I've been working on trying to improve that, which hopefully will help with our recruiting efforts in the future, as well as perceptions of Rice as a whole. So working on all of that, especially through my work on the financial aid committee and the Enhancing Perceptions of Rice committee, because we do talk a lot about communications, it's really opened my eyes in general to the importance of adhering to the university's core values and mission in everything that we do, while still pushing to make the necessary changes and updates needed to keep up with student and institutional needs. Rice is striving to become what our vice president calls a thought leader among institutions like us, which is an important way for us to help shape the ongoing nature of higher education, and it's really rewarding to be a part of that. Listening to the data presented regarding surveys that have been done about perceptions of Rice, and also hearing colleagues from other departments outside of financial aid discuss their perspectives of current financial aid practices has been really helpful in developing ideas for the office as a whole, but also just in how I conduct myself in my job daily and my interactions with current and prospective students and families. And I feel like these adjustments and this honed awareness is a very permanent thing for me. Bringing professionals from each department within the enrollment division together to discuss these issues, I think is a great way for us to critically examine the philosophies of our student affairs practices and the ideas that we've come up with so far, and the way that I have started to think about all of these things is probably the most forward-thinking and visionary work I've ever been involved in. It's also been really neat being the only person from financial aid in the Enhancing Student Perceptions Committee, because I've been able to educate my colleagues on certain aspects of financial aid and our interactions with students and families that they really are not aware of and don't have any exposure to otherwise. I think I've really developed an ability this summer to draw upon the history and patterns and personal experience to help analyze and plan for the future when it comes to those perceptions and student and institutional needs. I also feel that I've developed a better understanding of the changing nature of student affairs and the need for us to keep with the times to ensure we're meeting, again, both student and institutional needs. Perhaps more importantly, though, is that on these committees, we do have a committee leader, but for the most part, we're all equal. Once we're in those meetings, there are no supervisors or managers. Titles don't matter. So I've been able to develop more confidence articulating my ideas and concerns to people who otherwise are in higher positions than me, because I feel like I'm on the same level as them, and I feel like that confidence has carried over into just my daily functions as a professional, and I'm better able to articulate what is on my mind, and I'm also becoming more confident reminding colleagues the importance of our roles as student affairs professionals and reminding myself that I do have a right to have expectations of my colleagues, whether they are above me or not. I also have discovered that I have a right to speak my mind and let people who actually have the authority to make change know how things are and where things need to be. And I didn't quite have that confidence before. So by far, my learning and development within the area of values, philosophy, and history has been the most prominent. While this has been the most rewarding experience, working on these committees and kind of getting that experience with the values and philosophy, it has also been the biggest curveball. I didn't realize how much time my work on these committees was going to take up, and I was not put on these committees until after my internship had already started. So it threw this whole curveball in for me for all this new work that I hadn't planned for. So some of the ideas that I had that involved focusing on communications within my office, so how we communicate with one another as professionals and how we resolve conflicts within the office, that really hasn't been able to come to fruition. I kind of had to put it on the back burner, but thankfully it does sound like I'm going to be working on these communications issues and kind of serving as the expert on communications in the office well beyond when the internship is over. So I do think I'm still going to get an opportunity to address those problems. And I do think that the work that's been replaced by working on these committees is more important right now. And it has felt more fulfilling. So I basically have dealt with it by just rolling with the punches, and I'm trying not to let myself get stressed about having voiced my goal of working on this type of communication issue and not being able to deliver on it. I'm just working with what I have and trying to be proud of the work that I have been able to do. So I do think that this internship has really solidified my aspiration to direct an office one day. But even though financial aid is my area of expertise and my current passion, this internship has really made me think about the possibility of branching out and perhaps pursuing a career within higher education that is more related to the things I'm working on in the strategy project, such as becoming a full-time part of communications and marketing, which is a brand new department for Rice. All of that has become just fascinating to me and fun. I feel very happy when I'm discussing those ideas and those things with people who do currently work in that new department. So I'm starting to realize that there are more areas within higher education that I have a knack for outside of financial aid. So that is a very interesting development from this internship, and we will see where that road leads.